Hello, and thank you so much for joining us for this session of Veguary Black History Month celebration. I am here so excited today for these two guests, two people who are doing amazing, amazing things. Today's panel is about holistic healing and plant-based eating, and which are two topics that are very near and dear to my heart. And so I'm excited to have Samantha Salmon and Dr. Ruby Lathon here speaking with us today. And I just wanted to go ahead and read through their bios just so you can kind of get an idea of all the amazing work that they're currently doing. Dr. Ruby Lathon is a holistic health and wellness expert and advocate for plant-based nutrition. Dr. Lathon inspires with a powerful story of recovering from thyroid cancer through alternative treatment focused on a whole food plant-based diet. Dr. Lathon, who holds a PhD in Industrial and Systems Engineering and a BS in Computer Science, began teaching others about the benefit and power of plant-based nutrition. She motivates others to take charge of their health and provides tools for living healthy, disease-free, and above our daily routines to experience the peace and joy of life's journey. Dr. Lathon served as nutrition policy manager and lobbyist at the Physicians Committee for Responsible Medicine, where she led a national initiative to improve child nutrition and prevent chronic disease through emphasis on plant-based options in the National School Lunch Program. Dr. Ruby is a sought-after speaker throughout the health and wellness industry and serves as director of Roadmap to Holistic Health. Roadmap to Holistic Health works with individuals and groups to deliver scalable and customized programs to educate and empower people to live their healthiest and best lives. Dr. Latham hosts a number of seminars, workshops, and healthful vegan cooking demonstrations, and is host of the plant-based cooking show, The Veggie Chest, with Dr. Ruby. So, wow. And Samantha Salmon. Samantha Salmon is an integrative nutrition coach that specializes in helping women lose weight, balance blood sugar, and release stress and anxiety for total optimal health. She is the founder of rawfoodmealplanner.com and the Raw Food Health Empowerment podcast. She is also the author of the book You Can't Afford to Be Healthy. After getting a degree in economics from New York University and opening a raw vegan organic restaurant in Chicago, she went on to receive her health coach certification from the Institute for Integrative Nutrition, where she learned about more than 100 dietary theories and studied a variety of practical lifestyle coaching methods. Drawing on this knowledge, she helps her clients create a completely personalized roadmap to health that suits their unique bodies, lifestyles, preferences, and goals. Samantha is active in the health equity space in Los Angeles in an effort to achieve her mission of eradicating type 2 diabetes in this country. She is currently the co-chair of the Good Food Economy Working Group for LA Food Policy Council, one of the largest food policy councils in the country, and on the board of directors for a nonprofit called Feed Our Soul that provides gardening workshops and culinary classes for elementary and high school students and hosts produce giveaways in underserved communities. My goodness, my goodness. And when do the two of you sleep? I know you
Like, not
probably hear
enough.
that a lot.
Not
Oh my
enough.
gosh. Wow.
I
Okay.
make sure I get my 8 hours.
Okay. You must
Sleep
be
is a
I'm
non-negotiable
still
for me.
working on mine.
that is amazing to me. Thank you both so much for taking the time to talk with us today. I mean, I'm in awe. I really am. This is amazing work, and I'm so excited to talk about issues around holistic healing and the plant and eating plant based for health and everything that kind of goes along with that, as well as talking more in depth about what it is exactly that you do. So I wanted to start off by asking both of you, and so I guess like we can just alternate. So we'll start with like Samantha and then Dr. Ruby and kind of
Mhm.
go back and forth like that. What brought you to plant-based eating? What's your story?
Okay, so my story is I'm born and raised in Queens, New York. I lived my entire life with my grandma. She lived with us, and she was diagnosed with type 2 diabetes. And I was basically like a nurse for her, making sure she took all her medicine. She took like 20 pills a day. and checked her blood sugar, got her meals on time because you have to eat at certain times to take your medicine at certain times. And one day her big toe turned black, which you know is like the worst thing to witness when you're dealing with someone with type 2 diabetes. And 2 weeks after that, she was gone.
Mm.
She died at home on hospice care, and she didn't just die, like she suffered for those 2 weeks. Like she felt every organ in her body fail, and she was crying out in pain. And I was home at the time with her, and I remember like it was yesterday because I was going through midterms. It was my freshman year of college, and just trying to concentrate on, you know, getting good grades. I'm at my dream school, NYU, and you know, my heart is dying basically because my grandma is leaving us, you know. And that was a really traumatic, life-changing experience for me. I was really angry because I did all the things the doctor said to do. We fed her all the things they told us to feed her. And when I graduated college, I moved to the Bay Area and learned about Dr. Neil Barnard and his program for reversing diabetes. And I just felt like duped by the system. Like, you know, the food that they were telling us to feed her was just so that her medicines work and not to reverse what she was having. So basically, we only helped her along to her inevitable demise, which didn't have to be, because type 2 diabetes is a reversible and preventable illness. And so that really was the trigger and my constant motivator. I don't like pain. I don't like pills or injections, you know. So, you know, that was really the pivotal point for me. And I when I became vegan, I didn't like vegetables. I liked fruits, but no vegetables. So my thing was, how do I make this work? In college, my thing was, okay, I need to drink more water because I was always on the fitness tip. And I figured out a hack for myself to get more water in my system. And I did basically the same thing when I became vegan, trying to get more vegetables in my diet. And the solution that I came up with was green smoothies. And that just started, you know, the whole pattern of learning more, experiencing more, and trying different types of foods.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a awesome and painful but very significant story. So I understand where you're coming from because my grandmother also had type 2 diabetes. And that was one of the triggers for me to try to figure out how to live healthier. And the same thing, I didn't know that it was reversible. I didn't know how to do it until after she had already passed, and just started having just less of a life, less independence. And what really brought it to a head for me, because that happened first, and then I was diagnosed with thyroid cancer. And that's when I really delved into how to heal the body. And then while I'm researching how to heal myself of cancer, I'm seeing, oh, they could have, diabetes is reversible too with the exact same method I'm using to heal cancer and all these other things. And it was like, it's so frustrating because you can't go back, right? So, all you can do now is dedicate your life to moving forward and maybe helping other people. So for me, you know, wanting to heal myself naturally, because I'm just like Samantha, I don't like pills, I don't like needles, I don't like none of that stuff. I like to keep it natural. Even before I knew how beneficial natural was, I just knew that's the way to go. And so when my only option was to, remove the thyroid and be on medication forever, my inner spirit said, no, absolutely not. We're not doing that. You might have been ignoring me before in the past, but it was screaming so loud that I had to go that path. And that was for me the awakening of learning to listen to my intuition, my gut, what it was there for, learning to trust myself again, just awakening, and then understanding the power of what we put on our plate is the foundation of health. And so that's what brought me to it.
Wow, that is so interesting because my grandmother had type 2 diabetes as well. I think that is so, so, so very common in our
It
community.
is. It
And
is.
she died of cancer. So, it's just both of your stories are really hitting home there. So thank you for sharing those. So improving your own health, right, is one thing. A lot of people go on that journey to like improve their own health, but what motivated the two of you to want to help other people?
Sure. I mean, sure, I can start there. For me, it was because it was so life changing and seeing how I was able to heal myself, something I was told I wouldn't be able to do, and seeing how I could have saved my own, family member. I just felt so compelled to share it because I felt like it was like, I can't keep this to myself at this point. And I just wanted to get this word out there. And I didn't even go into it with the intent of it being a new career because, at the time I was an engineer. I just wanted to share the story. So I was invited to share the story. I was invited to talk to people about health and what I'd learned. And then it just grew from there in terms of career. But it just, it came from my just genuine desire to get this message out because I can't keep it inside.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's the great thing about going vegan. You want everyone else to go vegan. It's basically the theme.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, like so we were in the Bay Area, my husband and myself. We were there for like 2.5 years and got the idea to start this business, right? Um, just as an expression of this lifestyle that we love so much and we just think everyone should be doing it, right? So it's with that's really what kind of had me, because the moment I learned about Dr. Neil Barnard and reversing diabetes, I literally was telling everyone in my family, like, put the chicken down, like we cannot,
Mhm.
um and so it was just a natural unfolding, to be honest. Like we're unnecessarily dying.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And it was similar for me as well. Just knowing that I had access to this information and that other people didn't, it was like a no-brainer for me. So I appreciate that. A lot of people are like, I'm vegan for me, and like I just do this for me. I don't talk to other people about it. I don't, like spread that around. So I hear that story a lot, and so I'm really glad that there are those of us who are like, look, I'm going to share this information with the world. And I'm happy to have built this platform that can, like push the information out there and
Exactly.
bring folks like you in to do that as well. Um, so I have met countless people. I'm sure the two of you have too, who have all these stories, all these like inspiring and amazing stories about how plant-based eating has completely changed their lives. They've overcome, these different illnesses and what have you. Why do the two of you think that this is not a widely known fact at this point? Samantha?
Yeah, I think that money really sells product, right? We're living in a consumerist society, and fruits and vegetables just don't have the money behind it to market it. So that allows for a lot of opportunities. I see all these challenges as opportunities for, you know, supermarkets and health coaches to partner up so that they could be in the stores and actually doing grocery store tours and things like that. Like when Whole Foods started, they were doing a lot of educational workshops and things to help, because there's no marketing budget for bananas, apples, kale. So
Mm.
I think with that and maybe clinics partnering with health coaches, we can actually turn the tide. I'm really loving what I'm seeing with doctors writing prescriptions for grocery stores to buy specific, foods, and using food as medicine. I think the more we have these types of conversations, the more of a culture of health we can create in this country.
Yeah, yeah.
Indeed.
Um, yeah, absolutely. I agree with Samantha. It's all about the money, and we've let corporations dictate nutrition, and that is the biggest error you could ever make because they're only going to be about what makes money and not real nutrition. So we let, just the same way as we let pharmaceuticals dictate medicine. And so when we see the state of medicine and we're letting these food companies who are making fake food dictate what nutrition is, and so we are where we are because they are engineering the food to, to hit all the high points of sugar, salt, and fat, which is very addicting. And so once you get into that cycle of sugar, salt, fat, it's very hard to get out. And so there's that's like, it's so we have accepted that this is what we're supposed to be eating and it's not. And so when you follow, the money trail that then leads to high revenues in pharmaceuticals to solve the problem, then why would you, what feel good group is going to go and say, hey, stop this money train, eat a bunch of kale, broccoli, strawberries, chickpeas, because then that's going to be a domino effect of stopping the other industries that are making billions of dollars off of our illness and our death. And it's maddening, but that's pretty much why.
So,
Absolutely.
speaking of the medical industry, what do the two of you see as the main difference between a medical approach to solving health problems and a more holistic one? Dr. Ruby, I know that like you have talked like publicly about the medical approach versus, a more holistic
Mhm.
approach. So, where do you stand on that?
Yeah, well, with the medical approach is really, in most cases, geared towards symptom control, and it's not geared toward actual healing, and that's the unfortunate part of that. And a big reason is because a lot of medicine is now dictated by pharmaceuticals, and so they have even infiltrated the teaching of medicine to a large degree. So doctors aren't taught about healing things, they're taught about medicating things. And that's their specialty. So if you go to someone who's been trained in how do you manage symptoms, then you're going to get information on how to manage symptoms. You're rarely going to get information on how to reverse this illness. So because they're not taught that, they're not going to teach it to you. And so the medical approach is just, let me give you this pill, potion, whatever, or surgery to deal with the symptom. And in some cases, you might get lucky and we might get to the root of the problem by chance. Um, and whereas holistic looks at, let's look at everything. Let's look at what really is causing the problem and let's treat that. And then we get rid of that and a whole bunch of other stuff at the same time. Let's go to the root cause versus, the symptom. It's like putting, numbing cream on an infection. Sure, you don't feel it
Mm,
anymore, but the infection is still there and it's just going to pop up worse later. And so the holistic approach is going to be like what's causing the infection? Let's get to the root of that.
mhm.
Mhm. Yeah, I think in this country, like, folks are more inclined to spend money on crisis management than prevention. And hence we are here right now, with all the issues that we have. So the whole model, the whole healthcare model really needs to change completely to focus on prevention or an emphasis. Of course, we need crisis management, but with chronic, the most of the deaths that we're dealing with in this country is chronic illness that can be reversed or prevented. So um, we need to put a lot more emphasis on that.
Agreed.
Exactly.
Agreed. And so I know that both of you, because I have studied you extensively over the last 2 weeks, I would say, and both of you promote raw food eating for optimal health. And this is, it feels to me like this is a sort of like a newer phenomenon, or at least the popularity of raw food eating is newer. I mean, when I went vegan 23 years ago, I mean, maybe because I wasn't a hippie on a commune or something, I was like in the hood still, so maybe there were tons of raw foodists out there and I just wasn't coming into contact with them. But now They're like raw food, this whole raw food lifestyle, recipes, cookbooks, well, uncookbooks, recipe books, are everywhere. And it's much more, I feel like information about eating raw food is much more accessible than it's ever been. And so, I guess I just wanted to know, like, why do the two of you promote like raw food eating for optimal health? Dr.
I'm
D?
like
Oh,
so
I'm sorry.
overjoyed that you even just said that.
Oh,
That it's picking up like that. Like, yes, that's what we need.
yes, yes, yes.
Mhm.
I, you know, I don't even know what the question was. I was just so
Oh.
excited to hear you say it's getting popular.
Well, why do you personally promote
Oh,
eating
raw
raw food?
foods.
Yeah.
Yeah. So raw foods is whole denatured food. When you cook food, you kill enzymes. And me, I've had a history of acid reflux. It's been very helpful. I have more energy with raw foods. And, historically, when I've eaten a salad, even when I was a meat eater, we would never cook that, right? And we knew that to be healthy food. And so when I learned about Dr. Neil Barnard and reversing type 2 diabetes, I was also reading 80-10-10 by Dr. Doug Graham. And that book is a great book, great book, because it basically explains the physiological differences between carnivores and herbivores, frugivores, right? And why our bodies, are dealing with dis-ease is because we're not eating the foods that are natural to us, right? Animals know what they're supposed to naturally eat. They don't need to read a book to understand that. But, we like to make things complicated, right? And so raw whole foods is so uncomplicated. It's just it just is what it is. Already come packaged, ready to eat. It is our original fast food. And so it's just perfect in every way. Fruits taste great, they look great, and the fact that we can see color and it's so colorful and juicy, water rich, fiber rich, which is great if you're trying to lose weight and maintain a healthy weight. Like, it has all the things. It's not by accident that we're attracted to these foods. So it just makes sense. It makes sense scientifically, and it makes sense just experientially for me. And yeah, it's our
Yeah.
natural diet.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. It's, you know, obviously I first, just went vegan, and although I'm not 100% raw, I promote high raw diet, or all raw if you want to do that. But definitely an extremely high raw diet, because just as what Samantha was saying, in my research, we shouldn't have to read it to figure it out. But, when you're eating the raw foods, you have most of the nutrients in there. And anytime you start cooking it, especially the higher the temperature, the more nutrients in most cases you're going to be losing from the food. So you want to, so when I was doing, recovering from cancer, it's like I'm going to try to eat the foods that have the most nutrition in them. As possible, and just figure out how to make it taste good, which you can do once you just kind of relearn food preparation, basically, how to do that. So because it has the most food in the proper form, for example, if you eat too much fiber, like grains, like too many oats and things without enough liquid, you're going to constipate yourself, right? That doesn't happen with raw food. It's like, because it's already in its perfect form, it's already hydrated, it's already, great, although, whole grains are good, but you can have a negative effect when you're not, put enough liquid with it. So, it's like you never have a real issue usually with raw foods. So, higher nutrition, it helps with digestion. The enzyme issue is a big thing, because we lose enzyme production as we get older. So we need to add, make sure we're eating a lot of, raw foods that have the enzymes in them. So it makes sense, scientifically it makes sense. And then just learning, learning how to prep is just another way to get the most out of your food.
Yeah, that's where I'm lacking. I'm lacking in the prep. So I'm so looking forward to getting the raw food meal planner as well, just so I can figure out, like, okay, what am I doing here? Like, what's going
Yeah,
on here? Like,
that's what you do. I think for me, when I first did all raw, I did get some help, like a menu plan, because it's like, you know, if you haven't been like trying a bunch of raw dishes, you're not going to know what to do. I mean, and you're not going to want to just eat smoothies and salads 24/7. There's a whole plethora of other things you can do raw too that gives you the variety of that.
Right.
Yeah, I wanna add to that in the beginning, just like when you're first becoming vegan, right? People get really into these transition foods. So like the Just Egg brands and the Impossible Burgers and the Beyond Burgers and things like that. And if you need that, that's great. But eventually, the whole goal, especially if you're looking for health, optimal health, you want to get off of those foods and wean off of the addictions. Like Ruby, you were saying before about sugar, oil, and salt, right? How addictive those things are. Of course, they're going to put it in that to kind of help you to stay hooked on those foods to get you into, okay, I don't have to eat meat in order to be satisfied like this, right? But you're still eating foods that aren't really the best for your health long term. It's just transitional. Same thing, I would compare that to a lot of the raw gourmet stuff, that takes a lot of time to prepare, like the pizzas and burgers and things like that. These are great. And yes, they're relatively healthy, right? But that should not be your staple to eat every day, right? The smoothies, the juices, the salads, like those really should be the foundation, just like we have rice and burgers as our the standard American foundation that folks eat and they never seem to get tired of. Hopefully, the goal eventually is to have those, whole denatured, simple foods to be your standard. Like if you read Dr. Doug Graham's book, 80-10-10, he talks a lot about monomealing, like for your digestive health. Doing that is like one of the best things you can do. And once the more you do that, the less you need the crackers and the breads and all these things that take a lot of time, effort, and work to do. But definitely in the beginning, have fun. That's what I did in the beginning. Like I ate at Cafe Gratitude. The food was great, the pates, all those things. I really fully enjoyed that. I went home and I had my simple stuff, and then once a week, once every 2 weeks, or however, when I had that craving, I needed something more, I could support my local health food business. But it doesn't have to be strenuous.
Yeah, I think a lot of us, because of the way that we're programmed and growing up in this society, we're very, very like accustomed to like food giving us a particular experience. And so we don't feel like we're getting the full food experience if like there's not like, some bread or some this or, like all these things, we kind of feel like we're missing out. Like I was talking to Samantha before we got on the panel, and I was saying like, I was eating like a lot of salads at one point when I was doing raw. And it kind of got to a point after, I mean, it took a while, like maybe after about 6 to 8 weeks of, eating. And I was doing the smoothies, I was doing the juices, I was doing the salads. But then like something in my mind started to say like I was missing something. And so I was, and I know I wasn't. If anything, I had more than enough of everything finally for the first time ever. But I think the psychological programming is also like it comes into play as well.
Yeah, I think it does, and for sure, because you're just been like brought up, like you said, a certain way. This is what composes a dinner, and so the idea of just eating one thing for dinner or lunch is like, kind of like jarring to your psyche when actually it can be a really, really good thing. So I feel like it does take some transition, and then it takes not watching TV because then you get
Oh,
triggered with all these commercials and stuff like that. And I mean, seriously, so it's like I just turn don't watch TV because that it brings back, oh, this is what you're supposed to be eating, cheesy this and that and all this stuff. Whereas when you just normalize raw food, you kind of do it without realizing it. Some days I'm eating 100% raw, not on purpose, but because this is the kind of food I eat, because I always have a smoothie for breakfast anyway. So I don't really even, to me, this is not like, oh, I'm eating raw. I mean, this is breakfast.
Mm-hmm.
It's just,
Mm-hmm.
it's just this, because it has all the stuff in it that I want. I want to start the day with some good greens and fruit and protein and antioxidants and all that. So my smoothie is like a foundational thing. And then I love salad, and there's like 1,000 different ways to do salad. So I love doing those things too. And then, and then I might have some raw zucchini noodles just because, and then I've eaten raw and without intending to necessarily. So when you just start, and that's why I'm like, if you're new, you might want a high raw diet. And then before you know it, you're all the way in to it, because now it's just food. It's not, let me think about raw food. It's just food. I eat, raw stuff. And that's what I eat. So it's not like in this separate category.
Right. So I really want to kind of get into what the two of you actually do, because it's so impressive to me, and I think that people should definitely know like what is available to them out there, and that they don't have to like go it alone in this transition. So Samantha, can you tell folks about the Raw Food Health Empowerment podcast? Because I was really
Yes.
impressed with this.
Yes. So the Raw Food Health Empowerment podcast is a health and wellness podcast from a multinational, multi-generational perspective from women of color. I co-host it with my mom, who is a baby boomer from Jamaica. She's grew up on a farm, and I am a millennial who grew up in the concrete jungle of Queens, New York. So we come at health and wellness from a holistic perspective, but also with some cultural influences as well, which I felt like was there's a dearth of that in the vegan space, and I started it like 2.5 years ago, and that was way before 2020 and all the stuff of 2020. But now I feel like it's even more important that people see, like, yes, there are Black people out here who care about our health and wellness, and these are the challenges we're going through. Why we have, these high numbers of chronic disease, of type 2 diabetes, and all these types of things. Like, what's going on, really, and bringing that into the conversation. So
Okay, and
it's been fun.
I think it's just so amazing that you're doing that with your mom. I was just like, yes, that is what we need. Like you said, a multi-generational platform. Dr. Ruby, can you tell us about the Veggie Chest and the Monday Night Wellness calls?
Yeah, so there's a lot that I do, and those are just two pieces of kind of the outreach work of what I do. So the Veggie Chest is online. Well, it's on TV too, actually now on cable. The cooking show that's plant-based, just teaching people how to eat, healthy plant-based foods, and it's got a lot of raw recipes in it. And then Monday nights we do a free wellness call, myself and Dr. Watkins, as a service to the community to we talk about a health topic every week, and then we open it up for Q&A on whatever. So you want to ask about the topic or any other topic. So it's something to give people a sense of community and to keep them really connected and on track. And I've gotten a lot of feedback over the years about how it really has helped people. And we have people continuing every week to join because they get so much out of it in connecting with folks. And so that's part of what I do from a educational perspective. And then there's always the services that are offered too. From this cooking show started because I was doing menu plans and coaching people on vegan lifestyles, but also healing from various illnesses using food. But then they were like, well, not really getting it how to cook all these recipes. So now you have videos to do it. And then the next step was, well, some people are like, well, can you just make the food? Because these videos are great, but I'm not a cook. I don't have the time, blah, blah, blah. Can you make it? I actually started cooking it for a couple of clients who were really not well. And so I said, okay, if you commit to doing it, I'll do it. But then I can't do it anymore. So then we expanded it to a full food delivery service where, I have chefs and folks who are helping me prepare and deliver the food using the recipes that I select and choose, and following the model of the type of food that I eat and that is healthy and that would be on their menu plan. And so we've, rolled out a whole food delivery, Ruby Red's vegan, ready to eat meals that we deliver every Sunday in the Maryland, DC, Virginia area, and now Baltimore and Albuquerque area. So yeah, and I know Albuquerque's like, what's Albuquerque? Everybody
Wow.
else says that. Yeah, Albuquerque is because I used to live there. That's where I had my health awakening there. And I love Albuquerque and I'm always back there. I have family there who moved there after I did. And so it's a heart place for me. So I wanted to share the health and the wealth there as well. And of course, we'll be expanding regionally, throughout the year, but that's where we are right now.
Okay. And did I leave? I'm sure, Samantha, that you have way more going on. So if there was, if you wanted to give more, detail about other things that you have going on, I would be happy to, make space for that.
Yeah, sure. So there's a lot that you can learn on my website, rawfoodmealplanner.com. I have a program, self-care salon for folks who are dealing with type 2 diabetes or pre-diabetic and they want support on that journey of reversal. And I never say that I heal or that the program heals, right? But the body is a self-healing mechanism. So it's all about providing that space and accountability and support for whatever obstacles that come up along the journey. So you could kind of fast track and stay focused on the goal of reversal and doing what you need to do to get healthier. Um, and yeah, so, and active with LA Food Policy Council. We got this Good Food Zone policy passed to support businesses just like yourself, Ruby. But this is right
Awesome.
now just for the LA area, but folks are looking at it on a national level. And, out of LA and out of LA Food Policy Council, we started the Good Food Purchasing Policy, which is now a national conversation. So I'm really excited to be involved with that food policy work because there's so much that needs to be done to really fix our food system in this country.
Absolutely. And no wonder you have such a rosy and positive outlook on, on this work because you're actually doing work at the policy level that is being successful. I mean, that's powerful. It
Yeah.
really, really is. So thank you
Mhm.
so much for doing that work. Um, we've talked about all the things that the two of you are doing, and it's a lot, like people need to understand, like, this is not just a Monday through Friday 9 to 5. This is a labor of love as well. And I was just wondering, how do you personally take care of your own health and like have a balance when you're doing all of these things?
Yeah, well, for me, sometimes it gets out of balance and then I have to get back in balance. So I have been guilty of being a workaholic and then like, wait, time out. I've taken no days off in like 60 days. It's like, this is why I'm feeling like snappy and ragged. And I'm like, okay, so I instituted 1 day a week of no work. Just have to like you just have to take it because when you're doing your own business, you really literally can work 24/7 and still
Mhm.
never be done. So, and I have to accept that the work is never done. So stop trying to get it done and just do the work in this time period, and that's it, and then move on. And so then being very strict about taking days off and doing stuff that I just want to do or do nothing is really important for me. The other thing that helps is meditation, getting in line, with that, and then doing massage therapy, and I visit the chiropractor and all these things that take care of me because I need to make it a priority. So I just had to carve out the time to say this day I have nothing on the calendar, and that means I can sleep all day or I can go do something, but I can, it's about me, whatever I want to do. And so that's how I maintain the balance.
Yeah.
Okay.
Joy is my word for 2021. So
That's
everything needs
great.
to have play in it.
Yes.
Because I realize I also have a history of being a workaholic. It's really hard to turn off, but I
Mhm.
feel like I've conquered it, you know?
Yeah.
Oh,
I feel
good.
like I'm in a good space. I've conquered it. I've been doing a lot less, playing a lot more, and opportunities are just flowing my
Great.
way. And it's like, look at God, you know? You tell God your needs and just comes in with support. This has been my experience, you know?
Absolutely.
And so like I told you, sleep non-negotiable. I make sure I get my 8 hours because you know I study this stuff and I tell people, so I live by example because I just don't feel authentic not doing it. So I'm always trying to figure out, okay, where are my challenges? Study it, fix it, tell people about it. You know,
Mm,
this is what's
Awesome.
working for me. And so my podcast and my blog has been a great outlet for that. And I'm also working on a program that's set to launch next month called Self Care Salon, stress less, something like that, less stress for whatever, self care, whatever. I'm still working on the name, but it's self care within the self care salon, and all focused on doing less and getting the most out of life, right? We still, because I'm
I love it.
ambitious, we're all ambitious here, doing great things to really drive forward health in our communities. And we don't want to stop that. But at the same time, we need to preserve ourselves to continue the fight, right? And so that's really the whole goal of the program. How do we do great things in the world, be God's love, do God's work, and still preserve ourselves to be able to, for sustainability, you know? Sleep is crucial.
mm.
An
Absolutely.
empty
Agreed.
calendar, 1 day a week where it's like nothing is scheduled, nothing is structured, you know, so you can just be inspired and create, you know. Um,
Absolutely.
but yeah, it has to be a priority, and faith and trust that everything will work out as you want it to, and you don't have to ride yourself into the ground to make it happen.
That's so true. That you actually get more done when you do less. And I know it seems counterintuitive
Yeah.
because we think everything happens because of the actual work that we're doing. But it really is when you put the energy out there and the faith that everything you need comes, that it brings the momentum and the help to make it happen. And it's not all on your shoulders. And when you accept that and say, you know, I would probably be more productive today instead of working when I'm like so tired and just go take a nap and
Mm-hmm.
come back, I could probably get twice as much done and believe that you would, it will happen. And so it's kind of like uncelebrating the workaholic mentality, like no days off, blah, 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 all that crap.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So you need days off, okay? We need to sleep. You know, we have celebrated the work yourself into the ground mentality because we believe that the only way to get what we want is through hard work and sacrifice and just almost near death, and then you get rewarded. And that's really not how it works. You know, it's not how it works at all. And I've had to unlearn that, because if it was about hard work, a lot of us, you know,
Would be
most Black
millionaires.
people would be millionaires. So we know it's not about hard work because we know
Yeah,
the poor are some of the hardest working people on the planet, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
facts.
it
Mm-hmm.
is not hard work. It is the mentality of believing there is enough, and that you, when you put yourself first, the energy of doing that brings all the other stuff. And
Hmm.
so I have to constantly remind myself of that because you know you tend to fall back into the early teachings of work, 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 work is how you get ahead. And I'm not advocating laziness. Sometimes it is lazy is a good day to be lazy for a day, but
Yeah.
I'm advocating doing what you need to do, but taking the time off to play because I feel like Black people as a whole do not have enough fun and joy and just playing and relaxing without worrying about the weight of the world. And you just have to give yourself permission to do it. And the more you do that, the better your life is and the more effective you can be.
Mm. That is powerful stuff. Thank you both so much for that. We have a lot of folks who are going to be tuning in, who are just new to all of this, right? So I was
Mhm.
wondering, like, if there was one piece of advice that you would give for somebody who's just starting out on their holistic healing journey.
Sure, I'll let you go first, Samantha.
Someone just starting out, I would say definitely know why you're doing what you're doing because that's going to be the through line to keep you doing it. and enjoy the journey. It's really not about the result, just really in tandem with what we were just talking about. Like, there's always a next level to achieve. You'll always have some new goal. Cause even like me, like I feel like my diet is pretty clean, but I still want to lower my body fat percentage. So there's a strategy for that, right? And so there's always something more, but you're not going to actually do the work unless you enjoy the journey and the process. So enjoy the process, take it one step at a time, start with what you find is the easiest thing to start with, and just, enjoy, have fun.
I think
Okay.
that's great. And then I would add to, get help. You don't have to rely on yourself to know everything. When I started, from ground zero, trying to figure out how to heal myself, really not having a whole lot of information, I consulted with a lot of people until I found what made sense to me and what approach I was going to take. So getting the help that you need can give you a lot of the shortcuts and keep you away from a lot of the pitfalls that people commonly make when they're trying to, do it all. I know I was taking like 1,000 supplements, and the more I learned, you don't need that. You just need a couple once you learn. So you can shortcut your journey and save some money by spending some money on getting with an expert, by who can help you navigate this a lot easier and give you a little shoring up, and then to educate yourself and read, and trust your gut.
Mm. Thank you. Thank you both. How do people, I mean, we're gonna obviously have stuff on the website talking about the two of you and how people can reach you. But since people refuse to go to the website like they should, not everybody, but some people still haven't made their way to the website. Um, how would people, like reach the two of you? Where do they go to find you?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
you can
folks,
find. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
oh, I was going to say, you can find me at my website, rubylathon.com. It's my name, RUBYLATHON, rubylathon.com. You can go there, and pretty much everything I do is linked from that page. I have Dr. Ruby's Academy, where I have classes on alternative ways to healing cancer naturally, how to get out of the life you created, as well as my membership program for getting fit, where you'll get fit along with me, because I'm getting my sexy back. Well, I never really lost it. I never lose it, but I'm just
Right?
saying I'm getting it back to the next, getting it
Okay.
back on that level where it's supposed to be, because I was slipping during COVID. I'm like, okay, again, time out. My thing is, I'm never buying a larger size of clothing. We are going to correct the problem, not cover up the problem with bigger clothes. So we are getting back in shape with workouts, with the trainer, with yoga, with the food, everything. So you can find all about that on my website too.
Awesome.
Yes, and my website is rawfoodmealplanner.com. You'll definitely want to click the link on this to get to the website, because I'm going to share with Brenda the 7-day raw food meal plan. So you can actually just play around with this lifestyle and see how you can incorporate more raw foods into your diet. But rawfoodmealplanner.com is my home. That's where you can find me.
Well, I cannot thank the two of you enough. I really, really, this has just been amazing. We've had Dr. Ruby come and work with us before, and it's always a pleasure. Samantha Salmon, I mean, it's just been such a wonderful experience having you on and having you sharing your expertise and just like love and positive vibes from both of you. I just really, really appreciate that. And I wanted to say that I would love to continue to engage and connect throughout, eternity. I don't know, however long you want to connect with us.
Yeah,
We would love to continue to have you participate in this important work that we're doing. So thank you both so, so much for being a part of this.
Thank you. Thanks for
absolutely.
having
It's
me.
been fun.
All right. So, thanks again to everyone for tuning in to this session on holistic healing and plant-based eating, this session of the Veguary Black History Month celebration.